On tonight's show, we have a fire prevention specialist, a renovator, a podcaster, and the owner of an internet station. Stay tuned for what is going to be another great show here on Rob's Inner Circle.
Hi, I'm Sauerkraut. I'll be the next guest on Rob's Inner Circle. So don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rob's Inner Circle. I'm Robert D'Alessio, and I am your host, and we're broadcasting live from Montreal, Canada. I want to give a huge shout out to the amazing producer of our show, Jenny Duhame, and to our wonderful podcast techie, Patty, Lady Starlight Saragosa. Well, folks, they say that technology makes things better. Well, not always. We got some new equipment recently, and we've had some issues, and we were a little bit concerned. So tonight, we have someone really special who's standing by. She's backstage just in case something goes wrong here in our show. She's a fantastic voice artist. She's a great actress and a great friend, and part of the Bobby Short Shorts family. Just in case something goes wrong, here she is. She'll be taking over. Esther Brzezinski.
Hey,
Esther,
how are you?
I'm very excited, and I'm so grateful and thankful to have you as a backup on our show, just in case. Word has it, you'll be tuning in tonight.
Absolutely, I'll be here. I'm your just in case girl.
Esther, tell us very quickly. We have a show together, and it's every Wednesday. So what's the name of the show?
It is called Noon Hour Out of the Box, and it's every Wednesday, correct, from 12 to 12:15.
That's pretty quick, 15 minutes. Wow. And what's the show going to be about this week?
So this week we will be discussing performance anxiety, aka stage fright.
Performance anxiety. No wonder you're worried. Performance anxiety.
It'll be about a minute of performance and 14 minutes of anxiety.
Esther, thank you so much for being there, and stay, it's there just in case, of course, and you'll be joining us at the end of the show for the meet and greet. So Esther, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
There you have it. That's our lovely Esther who's standing by. She's our backup in case something goes wrong. In the news, actually last week, I had the honor of attending the Zensa Media International Film Festival Awards, and the screening was absolutely amazing. Jimmy Chan received this amazing award for the performance and his film. It's we also have a voice podcast, so we want to name what the award is. It's the Artist of the Year Award, awarded by Zensa Media's International Film Festival. We have a couple of pictures to show you over here. That's our amazing Jenny Duhame, accompanied by the organizer. That's Seema Aurora. And there you go. That's all of the Rob's Inner Circle team. We got the Jenny with Patty there, and then you got Esther, who's to the right of Jimmy. So it was such a great evening. And finally, the last picture to show, that's Matthew all the way to your right. That's the collaborator, the editor on the short film that he shot with his father, Saving Chinatown, Rise of the Dragons. Thanks to everyone for their donations so far. Okay, so we still have 1 day left that you can donate to the Movember team. We've raised $541 of our $1,000 goal for men's health and suicide prevention. I want to give a very special thanks to Tim Steinrich from the band The Mighty One, who did a polar bear dip for a whole 20 minutes to raise funds. The link to donate to the Big Records Motown is on your screen right now. So you want to go there, you want to donate generously. You got a day left, like we said. And thanks so much to Tim and to all of you for such an amazing work. And we're going to be ending off the show with a clip from the Rise Up tour. A happy birthday to our good friend, Mr. Corey Ramirez, who was a guest on our show a couple of Mondays ago. Congratulations to you, dear friend, on behalf of myself and everybody here at Rob's Inner Circle. On a sadder note, we would like to give our deepest condolences to the Steve's Music family on the passing of David Gantz, who was an amazing man. He was a mentor to many. Our deepest sympathies to you all on behalf of myself and everybody here on Rob's Inner Circle. Esther did an amazing job telling you when this amazing show is going to be. This show is going to be on this upcoming Wednesday at noon. As she said, we're going to be talking about performance anxiety. So that's another show you don't want to miss. I co-host that with the amazing Esther Berzinski. The Daily Struggles sitcom is up and running on the Rise Up TV channel on the Roku streaming service. It's a great show. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good comedy in there. You want to tune in and watch. If you don't have the Roku streaming stick, not a problem. All you got to do is go on Amazon and you can order one for as little as $30. All of the Rob's Inner Circle merchandise is readily available at 514brandingco.com. We have some amazing t-shirts. We got some mugs, blankets, a whole bunch of collectible items that you're going to love. That's 514brandingco.com for all of our merchandise. We urge you to go into the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, watch all of our productions. You want to click on the playlist. Notably, you want to go watch all of our past podcasts here on Rob's Inner Circle. We encourage you to like, share, subscribe to Bobby Short Shorts, and hit that notification bell, because every time there's a new production coming out, you will be the first to know. Well, folks, it's that time once again. It's time to bring in our guests. But before we do that, we want to slip into our ritual. We want to sit back, relax, take a deep breath, exhale, kick up our feet on the edge of the table, just let it go, and let us carry the load. Folks, it's showtime. It's time to bring on our guest. He's an amazing gentleman, such a talented gentleman. Like I said in the introduction, he's a podcaster. He owns a radio station on the internet. He's just a great guy. I just can't wait to introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is from Parts Unknown, the star attraction tonight on Rob's Inner Circle, Mr. Sauerkraut. Hey.
Hey, is that it? We're done?
Yeah, see you later.
I'm just trying to get my feet off this table. You told me to put my feet up and relax. So
I don't know. How did you do that in the car?
What's that?
How did you manage to do that in the car?
It's a big car.
It's a big one. Hey, thank you so much, Sauerkraut, for being among us. Such a talented gentleman. Right now, you seem as if you're somewhere really special. Where are you exactly? Because I introduced as Parts Unknown. I don't really know where you are.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good description of where we are. We are right in Windsor, Ontario, right across the river from Detroit, Michigan. We're waiting to see when the Detroit fireworks will start, which is that's when the gunfights start, right? I'm just kidding, slightly, but we are here. We're actually waiting because we have a tour coming up, and the tour bus is supposed to be coming across the border very shortly. So that's why I'm down here with the backup tour bus driver, or the bus driver, and we're waiting on the other bus driver to get across with our stagecoach, so to speak.
Awesome. It sounds like you're going to be having a lot of fun, and in the upcoming shows, you're going to keep us informed, right, of what happened with that show, right?
You will know everything the same time that I do.
All right. Hey, so you are part of the family. I was right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, Sauerkraut, let's get started over here. Let's get to know you a little better. Tell us where you're born, where you're from.
Okay, so do you want the real story, or do you want like the one that I sent you in my bio?
Well, you are a comedian, right? So let's
Okay.
have some fun.
So I was originally raised by gorillas in the farms of Niagara on the Lake. My parents are nice people, actually. I did grow up in Niagara on the Lake. I was born in St. Catharines, grew up in Niagara on the Lake. We lived on a peach farm. If you know Niagara on the Lake, you think of wealthiness. We were the exact opposite. We were the poor people in the rich town. Came from humble beginnings and whatnot. Where else do you want me to go with that? So started out farming. I started driving tractors when I was 8 years old. I can start a Massey Ferguson or a John Deere, anything like that, and run it. Starting at 8 years old is when I started doing that stuff, driving cars on the road, because we just put a slow-moving vehicle sign on there, and all of a sudden it's a farm vehicle, right? So learned to drive at a very young age, which came in handy one time. I'll tell you a funny story. My dad had an accident. He was building an addition on the back of our barn, and he's an impatient man. He's not patient like myself, and he pushed a little hard on the wood and cut his finger, and made me at 9 years old drive to my mother's work so that she could drive him to the hospital instead of calling 911, because he didn't want to pay for the ambulance ride.
And you know what? I could just imagine a movie being shot, a police chase, and Sauerkraut is driving one of those Massey Ferguson tractors. I mean, that would be the most hilarious scene ever caught on film. I can just imagine that.
Yeah, that would actually be quite funny, like the low-speed O.J. Simpson chase, but with a tractor.
Well, with all that equipment you have around there, the snowblower and the what is that? Down in the front, it can get a little interesting.
Yeah, with the front end loader on there, you just pick up the cop cars, throw them out of the way.
Oh man! Okay, when do we start shooting? I'm in.
Yeah, it'll be the new favorite Christmas movie. It'll be like Die Hard, but on tractors.
Die Easy.
Yeah, Die Hard and Speed mixed together, I guess.
Oh man, that sounds like a lot of fun. Well, you're going to be on a bus later on, so hey, who knows what can happen with that bus?
Hopefully not to the plot line of Speed. I don't know.
A high-speed
but Jimmy,
chase, eh? A high-speed chase with a bus and a tractor. Wow.
Be interesting for sure.
So tell us a little bit about your background, your parents, where are they from, and how did it all happen?
Yeah, so I wasn't there when my parents brought me into the world, but my parents, my father, his family's from Germany. He's a first generation Canadian. My mother, her background is Scottish, English, a little bit of everything. She's a self-proclaimed Heinz 57, so to speak. But mainly from Scotland and England. And just like I said, she was a very hard worker herself. She worked outside of the farm. My father basically worked at home at the farm, and that was growing up. Now, when I was younger, my ambitions, I wanted to be a police officer. And as you could tell by my introduction, I didn't become a police officer. Took a different path, largely because it wasn't my choice. Found out when I was in the middle of police school, actually, that I was colorblind. And people often ask, how can you be colorblind and not know it? Well, I see colors, I just see the wrong colors, apparently. And, I always wasn't able to match the colors on what's called the Farnsworth testing. So that's why I was precluded from being a police officer, which was not too bad. I made a shift after and went to be correctional officer. But growing up in the country, I was a big boy, muscular anyways. So in high school, had to play football. I played for Niagara District Trojans. That's not a condom brand or a condom brand endorsement. That was the name of the team. And then I moved to Niagara Falls, where I became a Stanford Collegiate Hornet. and played football for both of those teams as a linebacker.
Well, okay, at age 19, you told me this off air, and I was like flabbergasted. At age 19, you already owned a house. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I bought my first house at 19, and I'm slightly older now, like 21, something around that area. You'll never get my real age, but I bought my first house at 19, and my son. Yeah, I remember bringing him to that home when he was very, very young, as well, and now he's much older, so he wouldn't remember that going into that house. But when I got married at 24, we upgraded that house to a. I think we had, and I don't want to go too much into detail, but it was a 6-bedroom house. There was 4 bathrooms and an indoor pool. So we did pretty good, but that was what we used for our foster home when we had opened the treatment foster home. That's what we were using for that.
So at age 19, you're obviously you're a father,
Yep.
and you had to make a choice that, of course, when you stop to think of it, it's like an easy choice to make, but it was a bit of a gut-wrenching choice, but you made the right choice. It was either pursuing your football career, going to a university to play football, or you take care of your son. And you decided to take care of your son, which is a smart choice to do and the right choice to do. But, at age 19, having that huge responsibility on your shoulders, how did you manage this?
Well, that is a good question, and to this day, my son says when I tell him that story, he says, "You should have went to go play football. You would have done a better job." No, I'm just kidding. But it was very difficult at that point. I had to step up, obviously, and work harder, put food on the table, make sure that that he was taken care of. Because all of a sudden, when you hold this little child in your hands for the first time, your mind changes, your heart changes. And when I had my second child, I was convinced that I couldn't have girls, and then I had a girl, and for a second the initial reaction was, she's not ready, it's missing a piece, put it back. And my wife said, there ain't no way that's happening. So I had to accept it really quick, and I did learn to come to terms with that. There was that quick 1 minute of, oh crap, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I got to protect her too, right? So it's because with boys, not to be I don't know, like sexist or anything, but with boys you worry about one person, you worry about the boy. But with girls, I worry about all the boys, right? Not just my daughter, right?
And you also have to worry about your temper as well as how you're going to handle these boys, right?
Right. And growing up in the country, I do know how to use a gun, which makes it even more dangerous. But it's funny because my daughter is at the age where she wants to start dating boys and stuff, and she was watching me work out, hitting the punching bag a while ago, and she just looked and she said, "So, no boyfriends then, Dad? Is that correct?" I said, "Yeah, that's right. No boyfriends." So, and I've always told her that she can start dating when she's 38.
That's a pretty ripe age.
Yeah. Well, at that time she'll be mature enough to date, and she said that I was old or younger than that when I started dating her mom and married her mom, and I said no, I wasn't. So
so you remain a football fan to this day, and you're a Toronto Argonauts fan.
Yeah, don't say. I know that you're in Montreal, so don't say that too loud, because there is that little rivalry, but not as much as that rivalry down the QEW, which is between the Ticats and the Argos as well, right? So But that's definitely, yes, one of my things was I did want to play for the Toronto Argonauts. I actually knew the daughter of Pinball Clemens' secretary.
Oh.
And so I used to get like, actually the last time well, not the last time I was in Montreal, but one of the last times I was in Montreal was for a playoff game, Toronto versus Montreal. And I was actually on the sidelines, and I actually got to, when they do those like challenges on the field, stuff like that. I actually got called down, and I got to do the best end zone dance.
Oh, wow.
Contest. Yeah, I ended up getting a sweater. Somebody else got a cell phone. I guess theirs was better, but I really think it's because I was in Montreal wearing Argos stuff. That's why people booed me. Versus my touchdown dance was perfect. I've been practicing it for years, right? So
for those of you who are watching, and if you can recall, at one point, SCTV's John Candy and the hockey great of the NHL, the greatest player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, they both owned the Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good piece of information.
But they still didn't win.
No. They've won their fair share. I mean, and that's the thing. They didn't win, anything recently, but neither have the Maple Leafs, and we all have that to fall back on.
Don't get me started. So, Sauerkraut, you're a very interesting guy. You own a fire prevention company, and what is the name of that company exactly?
Yeah, it's called OFPS, or Ontario Fire Prevention Services. And essentially what we do, we go into customers' homes, talk about fire safety, how to get out of your house in case of emergency, talk to you about fire evacuation plan and different types of alarm technology. One of the things that I love about this is that when we leave your house, you're more prepared for the event of a fire. We leave everybody with a first aid kit, a 167 piece emergency first aid kit, just to make sure that you are safe in the event of a fire or any sort of emergency in your home. And, I love the rewarding part is that we get to teach little kids on how to get out of their house, because they spend a lot of time teaching the kids how to get out of the school in case of a fire, but they never ever practice at home. So we do that practical training with those kids, make sure that they know, the meeting spot is not in the living room. Do not wait for mom and dad inside the house. We got to make sure you got to get outside the house as fast as possible. So
you have all these statistics naturally. What are the leading causes of fire?
Well, the leading causes of fire are cooking fires, actually. And this time of year, we have a lot more social gatherings. So it's usually, Thanksgiving is where it starts to go up, because you start chatting to people, you forget the turkey's in the oven, or you forget that, the gravy's on the stove, and all of a sudden something boils over and starts a little grease fire inside the kitchen. So 25% of all fires happen right there in the kitchen. Then the next most common fires are the garage, the furnace room, and then your bedrooms. Those are the rooms where we're spending the most time, or that we have flammable things inside of as well, right? So it kind of makes sense when it comes to that those would be the issues. November is actually Carbon Monoxide Awareness Month. October's Fire Prevention Month. November's Carbon Monoxide Awareness Month. And the reason why they do that is because you're turning on your furnaces, perhaps for the first time. Maybe not in Montreal. You probably already had them on for quite a while, but in Ontario anyways, we're just turning them on for the first times, during the month of November. And we just want to make sure that everything is safe and that there's no pile up of snow in front of your exhaust or anything like that, so that everybody knows what's going on.
So you're saying that you said something really interesting to me, is that a fire extinguisher is not necessarily the best way to put a fire out. And pertaining to fire extinguishers, we see them all over places in businesses and institutions and at homes and all that. How important is it to have these devices serviced, and at which intervals do we have to have them serviced?
Hey, that's actually a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. So first things first, cooking fires, grease fires, stuff like that. A lot of people, they think that if they have a grease fire, they could just put it out with water, and that's the absolute worst thing that you can do. You always want to use something to smother the fire, like a fire blanket or along those lines. You could use a fire extinguisher, but it could because they're under pressure, it could actually cause some of that flamage to shoot up some of that oil. So always best to smother that fire. Never add water because it makes this bigger kind of explosion, right? But fire extinguishers, you should always actually pick up your fire extinguisher, know where they are. There should be 4 in every home, and I'll explain where those go in a minute. But you should always take that fire extinguisher at least once a month, turn it upside down, and give it a smack on the bottom. This is going to loosen up all that powder that's inside of there and prevent it from coagulating and turning into like a puck, because now you're trying to shoot out a puck out of a hole that's about that big. It just doesn't work, right? So it's important to make sure that you maintain that. Look at it every month just to make sure that there's still the pressure that is still in the green. And just because it's in the green doesn't mean that it will go off in the event of a fire, because you have to make sure that that powder inside stays loose and doesn't turn into a solid. So as I mentioned, there are 4 places that you should have a fire extinguisher in your house. So the first one would be your kitchen, obviously. Next would be your garage, and then your furnace room or your basement. So where do you think the last one should be, Rob?
I think it should be in your bedroom, because I know you have kids, you have other people occupying the house, but you're the one extinguishing the fire. So my guess is you have to have one readily handy in your bedroom.
Right in the master bedroom, right? So fire extinguishers are good for putting out small fires, not good for putting out big fires. If your house is in a complete inferno, a fire extinguisher is not going to do anything. They're designed for little tiny fires, no bigger than the size of a wastebasket kind of thing. Once it's past that point, you could use it to blaze a path to help you get out of the house. Or if there's a fire in your hallway between you and your children, obviously you're going to want to get to those children, right? So that fire extinguisher can come in handy. Plus, they're heavy. You could use it to bash in a door or something like that if you needed to.
And you said you sell equipment. There's 167 pieces of.
Yeah, so we have an emergency preparedness kit. We give those away for just allowing us to come by to your home and talk to you about fire safety. Like I said, we want to make sure that you are safe in the event of emergency. And that's one of the things that we do. We travel all over Ontario, as the name suggests. We don't just do Niagara Falls or the Niagara region just because we live there. We have gone all over. Windsor, for example, is one place that I spend a lot of time. London, Ontario. I spend a lot of time there. And we even go up north to like Peterborough, Elliott Lake, you name it. We've been somewhere up there talking about fire safety.
You said something extremely interesting, and I was taken aback when you threw these statistics at me. You told me that 1 in 5 people in their lifetime are going to experience a fire.
Yeah, and most people don't think it will happen to them. But when you find out that 1 in 5 people will experience a fire in their lifetime, what makes you think that it won't happen to you, right? And it's one of the misconceptions of fire, is that everybody thinks, well, that only happens to other people. It happens to people who smoke, the elderly, people with children, but it will never happen to me, right? But it does definitely happen to anybody. It doesn't matter. The number one thing that people always say after a fire is that they didn't know that they could have a fire. They thought they were prepared, and they really weren't prepared for that fire. So that's kind of what we do. We educate a little bit about that. We talk about the different types of alarm and the failure rates of alarms that you buy in stores compared to what we offer. For example, in the owner's manual of your smoke detector, it will tell you that there is a failure rate in that owner's manual. They admit to it. Studies have shown up to a 55% probability of failure in a smoldering fire. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's almost, if you're having a smoldering fire, it's almost, you got a better chance that it's not going to go off than it does go off, right? And we have these things all over our homes. We're expecting it to save our family, our kids, and stuff in the event of emergency. Unfortunately, is just not the case. It may not go off in the event of a fire. And you know, the alarms that you get in the store they'll always go off when there's false alarms. And what happens is a lot of people will unplug them because there's so many false alarms. They take the batteries out, whatever. I can tell you, a smoke alarm without a battery is going to fail 100% of the time, not just sometimes.
So, in the event of a fire, what are the actions to take? Is it did someone like have to like crawl? Do they have to have a wet towel to cover their face? What are the actions to take? And I guess they have to be immediate actions. So
yeah, so whatever you do. So like one experience that I try to get through to people. Let's just pretend you are having a fire right now, okay? And you walked over to your door and you touched the door and that's hot. Well, that definitely means that there's fire on the other side of that door. So now let's say, Rob, you and your wife are in bed together. You have that fire, you know that there's a fire on the other side of your door. How do you get out of your room? You're going to have to go through the window, yes. Now the next thing is who's first? Who's going to go out through the window first?
You should always have everyone else go out and you're the last to go because you're supposed to be the leader of the pack.
Okay, yeah, there's no right answer there. You know, my instinct is my wife's out first. Why? Because I love her. Yep, I love her. And then I got to get the children. So let's say my wife got out, I got out. We know the fire's right outside our door. So now we have to go, now that we're outside and we're safe, we have to now know who else is left in the house. Chances are it's the children. And children under a certain age largely depend on their parents to help get them out. It's just the way it is. They're scared. They think that the fire, if they can hide from the fire or whatnot. Unfortunately, a lot of children that do pass in a fire are often found hiding underneath the bed or in the closet, thinking that they can hide from the fire, right? And it's not. It is a scary monster, yes, but it's not the scary monster that will just ignore you if it can't see you. The main thing with fire is it doesn't have to touch you to harm you, because when your house is on fire, it's actually taking the oxygen from the air, and it's going to continue to burn no matter what, right? So it's just telling the kids, getting the kids to know where the meeting spot is, stay down low, get out as fast as you can, don't leave the windows or doors open when you get out, and once you're out, stay out. That's the important thing.
Okay. Now, the question I want to ask over here, okay, we're having a bit of an issue here with the camera angles. If these alarms are so unreliable, why is it that the government officials are allowing them to be sold? That's something that I can't understand.
Yeah, and I wish that the government would step in, but the problem is they set the minimum codes, and the minimum code is better than what?
Better than nothing, I guess.
It's better than nothing, and that's the case. So they would rather you have something than nothing. And so I'm not saying that your smoke alarm is never going to go off. What I'm saying is that it's important to have something in there and to have more in there to make sure that it does go off in the event of an emergency.
And so how often should you replace the batteries inside one of these smoke detectors?
So if you have smoke detectors in your house that are battery operated still, every 6 months. It's important to change your smoke detector every 10 years. That's what they suggest by the minimum code. So you can get sealed units now that don't require batteries because they have the battery built into it, which is fine. But we want to make sure that everybody is safe and actually following those. So smoke detectors have an expiry date on them, and they're not supposed to be yellow. So if your smoke detectors are yellow, they didn't come that color, it's time to get new ones.
Well, maybe someone's smoking too close to them. Who knows?
Yes. Yeah, well, maybe, but definitely now there's not too many people that still smoke inside their houses anymore. Luckily, there are still the odd one or two, but yes, no, definitely. After 10 years, they're designed to actually discolor and turn different color so that you can recognize that, well, maybe I should change it. Unfortunately, I've gone into houses that I've seen smoke detectors from 1971 still in the house. So it is quite disturbing to see that people haven't been changing them every 10 years.
They probably have that old Rayovac battery still inside it.
Probably, yeah, they're the original
A carbon battery.
9-volt battery that came with it, and they're wondering why it hasn't gone off in years. Yes.
So you're also in the construction business, I understand. That's very interesting. Go ahead. What is it, a renovation or is it the construction?
Yeah, so we do renovations. We can do full design builds too, but for the most part, we do renovations. Right now, I'm doing a 4-unit apartment building. We're doing another 6-unit apartment building shortly. And then when we do the renovations, kind of ties in with the fire safety. We go through and put in our alarms, make sure that everything is working just the way that it should be.
So we have a fire preventionist, a renovationist, and we also have a podcaster. And you have a couple of podcasts on the air.
Yeah. So we started. So Axis Radio is the radio station that we have. And how that started was actually, it's a funny story because just happened by circumstance that the guy that got me involved in podcasts to begin with is actually sitting here right beside me right now.
Well, you know what? Give us a little peek of who the gentleman is. Just a little shout out to him. Hey,
there you go.
Hi, guys.
How you doing? Identify yourself, sir.
Don Pierce, right here.
Don Pierce, you have a podcast of your own, I understand, right?
I do. I have On Air, the podcast, and Cat Power Hit Radio.
And we can catch your podcast on Access Radio. Is that it?
No. Well, coming soon you will be.
Coming soon. I knew it.
Apparently, I'm coming back to Access Radio.
Oh, geez. You heard it here.
You got the first news, boy.
Congratulations on the fine job you're doing. So to get back to you, Mr. Sauerkraut, I love the name.
Yeah.
It gets me hungry. Mr. Sauerkraut, tell us a little bit, your podcast, what are they all about?
Yeah, so our first one that started out, so like I said, Don Pierce used to have a podcast. It was a live cast, which is different than podcasting in the fact that the audience could speak with you. This was before live streaming became what it is. So the audience could actually text in, they could call into him, and he could take calls live there, and it could really shape the way that your podcast went. And I thought that this was amazing. Started talking to him. I was invited on his podcast as a guest. And then he said, you're pretty good. You got the gift of the gab. You're funny. You should try this yourself. I said, no, I don't think I could do that. He's like, just give it a shot. I said, you know what? Okay, no problem. And he kept on pushing and pushing and pushing. And then he said, so have you bought your equipment yet? I said, yeah, I bought my equipment. He said, have you hooked it up yet? I said, oh, yeah, I hooked it up. He said, have you done a podcast yet? I said, no, I haven't done a podcast yet. What are you waiting for? And then, so I called up my buddy. So it was the Sauerkraut and Meatball show. How that came about, my family's got a German background. Meatballs, his family's got an Italian background. So we called it the Sauerkraut and Meatball show. Our advertising was the S&M show. It completely brought in a different crowd than what we were expecting. We were expecting people that love to eat food, but all of a sudden people showed up with whips and chains because we just made it the S&M show. But they stuck around. So they had to find something entertaining in what we were doing. So we would, tell jokes. We'd make fun of Justin Trudeau. Before it was cool to make fun of Justin Trudeau, of course. And we had for a while we were going to run for prime minister against Justin Trudeau. It was going to be a team effort. All sorts of crazy stuff. So that was one that we started. Then I had a live stream like what you do with Don Pierce, and we called that In Conversations. With Sauerkraut and Don Pierce, or Don Pierce and Sauerkraut, just depended on who we were interviewing. If we were interviewing a country person, it was with Don Pierce and Sauerkraut. And if we were interviewing a rock person, it would be with Sauerkraut and Don. That's just the way that we worked. And then over the time, it's just been me interviewing random celebrities. We've interviewed Danko Jones, My Bloody Valentine, just among some of the acts that we've done. And we just continue to grow the channels that way. But what had happened initially, if I didn't get that bug to do the podcast from Don Pierce, Access Radio would never have happened, because what happened was 6 of us, we got fed up because the podcast network that we were on, they weren't playing by fair rules. And what I mean by that is that they were using licensed music, which we could get in a lot of trouble for without having licensed bodies there. So we decided to go out, break off 6 of us, and get licensed. And that's when Access Radio was born.
So you're, like you said, you're a fully licensed radio station, and you're licensed in 3 countries, and you also have a podcast from down under in Australia, I understand.
Well, we do have a one of our DJs is actually Dan from Down Under, and we call it, because I used to do my morning show, and then there was a gap, and then we had the Nooner, which is another show that I used to do. I don't do the Nooner anymore, but so we would have Dan from Down Under. He fills your gap, and you can infer what you want from that, but anyways, so he is Australian. He does live here in Canada now. That was part of the thing, but yes, he's definitely. We are streamed in when his podcasts and stuff like that. Our podcasts are streamed in Australia as well, and we have quite a following over there also.
Well, as we all know, the CRTC has no jurisdiction on internet radio, but as we were saying off air, it's a matter of time before they end up getting their piece of the pie.
Yeah, they're as soon as they see that there's some way to monetize it and get a hold of us, get a hold of everybody, they're trying to get into there now. It is coming. Like I said, the Liberal government did pass a bill, an internet censorship kind of bill, so that it was built into that bill that was passed with that too. So this is why it's important to make sure you know who you're voting for and what you're voting for when it comes time to vote, because they just kind of snuck that in there. Even though they had a minority government, they were still able to sneak in this little bill. So CRTC, FCC, all that stuff is starting to get involved with. They're already monitoring it. They just haven't been really issuing or fining people as of this moment. But it's just a matter of time before it comes, I believe. The problem is we got to stand up and fight it as much as we can, find ways to work around it, which is another thing. But I always try to tiptoe around it to begin with. Anyways, for example, I'll find a story about places that have unique names, and that way I can say a swear word without getting in trouble or having any worries about getting into trouble, because you can say swear words as long as it's a direct quote, a person, place, or thing.
Looks like someone's done his homework.
Yeah.
So would there be some kind of benefits having the CRTC or the FCC involved in the podcasting business on internet radio?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see having any extra regulation doing anything better for it, other than the fact that it will keep, these little underground ones that are, probably not the best for little children to be listening to, because it's hard to regulate who's listening to who on the internet, right? So yes, there would be some regulation there, make it easier to regulate that, but I can't see any benefits to having an extra arm's length of there. That's part of what the allure of internet radio is, that you can get away with a lot more on internet radio than you can on regular radio.
I saw this one fellow, and I won't name his name, but he was like on radio somewhere here in the Montreal area, and he was like a straight arrow. And I saw him do a podcast. I could not recognize him. The slurs that came out of this gentleman's mouth, wow! It's there, ooh, and it's like it showed that he let out a lot of frustration, a lot of things that he couldn't say, and he actually just let go. And which reminds me, even though it's more permissible, you still must have some form of complaints, right?
So we do get complaints from people, and we encourage. I used to give out. So I would say something controversial, or Meatballs would say something controversial, and then I would give out my email address for complaints. Send your emails to www.accessradio.ca@gmail.com. That's just to so that people knew, or if Meatballs said something controversial. So Meatballs' email address is, and to complain. And we would always say, "Don't worry, we will read your complaints out loud on air and make fun of you, but we'll take them into consideration." And we also had a saying, according to Access Radio or Sauerkraut Meatballs, if you have a complaint about what you've heard on our show today, you have two courses of action. You can either eat a big one or tune in somewhere else. Those were the two courses of action that you had. Against us. So fair warning.
Somehow I see Joe Rogan and Howard Stern playing a hand in your as your influencers.
Yeah, that was the whole point. I love Joe Rogan. Don't get me wrong. Joe Rogan is a completely different type of podcaster. He'll go after people. He'll research his stuff ahead of time. It's funny that he got Elon Musk to smoke pot on his show, and then his stock net value went down 9% the next day. Yeah, it went back up. Don't worry, Elon Musk is okay with it. And then Howard Stern. Yeah, well, there was other guys that were on as well that are banned from all radio, XM, Sirius. They were on FM. But they're banned altogether. They were Opie and Anthony, and those guys I used to like as well. Just kind of the stupid, crazy stuff that they did. We used to like to try to do the same kind of stupid, crazy stuff, minus the whole getting people to have relations in St. Peter's Basilica. We that's where we drew the line. They didn't, and that's why they no longer have a show on any platform. I don't even think they have a podcasting platform that will carry those guys anymore.
Okay. So presently, are you accepting applications from folks who have podcasts? Are you open to have podcasts coming onto Access Radio at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, we can do podcasts, broadcasts, a little bit of everything in between. So we do have spots available. Right now, we do 19 hours worth of programming per day on Monday through Friday, and on the weekends, it's a little bit less. In fact, I think we're down to 17 during the week, but the weekends from 10 a.m. on Saturday till 10 p.m. I believe on Saturdays. I don't have the schedule right in front of me. Sorry if I missed anybody, but I'm pretty sure 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. So 12 hours on Saturdays. Nothing on Sundays right now. But essentially Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. now until 1 a.m. It used to be from 8 a.m. till 1 a.m. and then we've cut back to 9 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Are you accepting any new artists? Because we have a few artist friends, and one of them has tuned in, Mr. Charles Vaccaro. He's an amazing artist with whom we've collaborated for our show, Daily Struggles. We also have another great local musician, Mario Bifarelli. These are absolutely talented musicians. Do you have any room for talented artists who are up and rising that put their music on Access Radio?
Talented? Sure. No. Yes, definitely. We always have room. Like I said, people can drop us an email at any time, accessradio.ca@gmail.com. That's the main one. We do work closely with record labels and stuff like that. So as well as podcasters. If you want to get into broadcasting, you want to get out there more. A lot of broadcasters use the broadcasting to advertise their podcasts as well, which is good. That's I mean what iHeartRadio was all about. It started out as just podcasting, and then they turned into radio stations, and then they have radio stations and podcasting, right? So we are willing to work with people as long as we have the hours. We are opening new stations. Right now, the rock station is pretty full, but we have the country station up and running again. We have the pop station coming very shortly, up and running again. Singer-songwriter station coming. So it's all coming down the pipe, and we'll need to fill those channels up with broadcasters as well, so that we have live voices on the radio on all those channels, which is it's pretty overwhelming, but at the same time it's really something that's fun and enjoying and exciting for all of us.
Is there any room for some comedy on your show? Someone who's got either a stand-up comedians or they have a podcast pertaining to comedy? Do you have any room for shows such as that?
Yeah, so as you can see, I don't ever tell a joke at all. So we have to be 100% straight edge. No jokes, no smiling, no laughing.
Yeah, right.
No, yes, there's definitely room for comedy. Actually, I was talking about that. We should do like a whole, the last time I talked to you, a whole day on Sunday of just one of my favorite channels to listen to on regular radio is Stand Up 820. And it's just comedians, and that's all. They have different comedians, and all from like the 70s and 60s, the stuff that you wouldn't expect to hear on the radio, like Richard Pryor and all those guys, where they blurt it out, obviously, but you can still tell what they're talking about. And that's the thing with those. So, yeah, I think there's definitely room for that kind of atmosphere in one of our channels. Definitely something that we can explore, as long as we have the talent is the main thing.
So you're associated with Rise Up TV and the Rosler Management Group, and you're going on tour this week with the Rise Up Tour starting tomorrow. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have the Rise Up TV tour. Starts tomorrow in London, Ontario. Then we're coming back to Windsor, so I don't have to just be here today. I'm going to be back on the 1st of December. Then we head out to Cambridge, then Hamilton, then Fort Erie. Then we're heading down the highway to Ottawa, and then to Montreal. All whirlwind. The Ottawa and Montreal is the same day. And we have contests on our Facebook page where you can win tickets to each and every one of those shows. Plus, awesome. You can win a free lunch with the cast and crew in Niagara Falls. The only thing with that one is you have to be in the Niagara region so that you can participate in that one. Why? Well, because that's where it is. So if you could get to the Niagara region on that day, if you win, by all means, feel free to enter. If you can't get to the Niagara region on the day, it's probably best to leave it for somebody else that can. But yes, there's definitely lots of contests going on. You could win tickets. All you got to do is super easy. You just got to like Access Radio, and you got to like Rise Up TV on Facebook, and then tell us that you're done. Your name's entered automatically to win those tickets and to have lunch. I will be there. You'll get to meet Don Pierce. We'll sign autographs. We'll do all sorts of fun little things here and there. And, that's what this is all about, having fun and introducing the artists. We're going to have a blast. Make sure you get to one of those shows. Even if you don't win the free tickets, go buy the tickets online. There's a link somewhere, I'm sure. And you could get those tickets as well. So
I noticed that there is a great chat group that you have while the shows are airing on Access Radio. Is it easy for the audience to tune in and come and chat?
Yeah, so we have the chat on the rock station. So if you go accessradio.ca, there's a little drop-down menu at the top where you could do rock, country, pop, all those things, podcasts, videos, stuff like that. But there's also a direct link there, www.accessradio.ca/rock-music-1, and brings you right to our chat. Sometimes the DJs are in there, sometimes celebrities are in there, sometimes we have some of the artists that we feature on the show are in there talking, and it's a very responsive chat. We have GIFs, if you know what GIFs are, and you want to put a funny GIF in there, go ahead. We're okay with that as long as it's PG 29, something like that.
So let's take a quick look here at the Access Radio logo, and maybe you could explain this to us a little bit, what's going on here with the logo, how you were inspired to do it.
Yeah, so what happened there, the original logo was actually in that helmet up top. That used to be just the logo. So that there, it's funny that you're using this particular one, because the background on this one, I'll explain what that is too, and you'll have a laugh at that in a second. But that particular logo in the helmet was the original one. It was nice. It was simple. It got across the point. And there's 3 symbols there. It's a drum kit with 3 symbols and a rising sun in between. The point with the 3 symbols was the 3 stations. That's what we started with: pop, rock, and country. That's what that was all about. And then the Access Radio. Now the actual skull part is a candy skull smoking a cigarette. This was around the time that marijuana was being legalized. So it's not a marijuana cigarette, though. It's just the whole point of that was to show the attitude of the station, the motorcycle helmet, the whole proving that that's what our station is about. It's about grit, about attitude, and it's about having fun. That's what that was. Now, the background part that is all blurred out, do you want to know what that actually is? It's hard to see.
Go ahead.
But I can tell you. All right, it's actually a lady's buttocks being tattooed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's pretty easy to figure out. Yeah.
No, nobody knew that until you're the first show that I told that to. That's not our original, or that is our original one, but since then we've just gone with just the motorcycle helmet, the candy skull, or the sugar skull, and the Access logo. So we've taken that back part off, but that was just playing with some filters, twisting some things up, and that's to go along the whole attitude thing, right? We always push those boundaries, and now you know what it was actually going on there.
So we have another friend of ours, a nice guy, Luigi Costanza, who's got the Agree to Disagree podcast. So Luigi, pay close attention. You can end up on Access Radio. That's internet radio. This is the owner we are speaking to, Mr. Sauerkraut. And if you want to find out more, you can always contact us. Luigi, we're going to give you more details. Spread the word. So tell us a little bit, how fast and how quickly has Access Radio grown over the years?
Yeah, so I mean, we come a long way since 2018 when we started us podcasting. Late 2019, we decided to get into the radio game. Since then, Access Radio on our rock station alone has over 115,000 listeners, which is a pretty good feat to come in on. So we have a counter at the bottom of our screen. Every time somebody comes to listen, it goes up, shoots up again every time that somebody comes in to listen. So it is pretty amazing to see how fast it can grow. When we first started out, I can guarantee you it didn't grow fast enough. And then once we started to get the growth, we felt a lot better. Like I said, I can imagine within the next 2 years, easily say we could have 1 million listeners. That's going to be one of our goals to hit. We're going to be pushing for that to get it growing as fast as possible. But a lot of that growth has happened in the last 5-6 months, where we were able to focus a little bit and just kind of do a lot more advertising, hitting the road and stuff like that. Now we're able to sponsor these tours, That's what we're doing here with Rise Up TV. We are one of the sponsors. This takes a lot, and we do thank Mark for everything that he does as well. Because without Rise Up TV, would we had that much growth that fast? Perhaps not.
You also have Sarah Smith, who's headlining. Did she just get off a tour with, what is it, Melissa Etheridge?
Melissa Etheridge, yeah. She was on a cruise ship with Melissa Etheridge. I don't know if she sang "Come to My Window" or "I Want to Come Over."
That's so me.
But definitely, Sarah Smith was there. Sarah Smith is going to be at a lot of these concerts, all of them, in fact. She is headlining. And from what I gauge a lot with Sarah Smith is she does have that raspy kind of Melissa Etheridge kind of voice, that kind of guitar playing as well. So it is quite interesting to see Sarah Smith up on stage. When you do get a chance to see her, head out there as well. Make sure that you support your local artists.
Well, for the folks who are interested, Sarah Smith recently was on a podcast, one of our friends, the Ange TV show. Ange interviewed her not long ago, so you can go onto the Ange TV show on the YouTube and you can watch the full interview with Sarah Smith. So give us a little bit of a reminder as we're really getting close to signing off over here. Unfortunately, wow, this hour has flown. Just give us a little reminder what the contest is that you're holding.
Yeah, so we have 6 contests actually going on. So it's for a pair of tickets for every single city that we're going to with the Rise Up TV tour. You can win admittance into the venue. You get to sit down with me. You'll get to meet me. I'll sign some autographs. Don will sign some autographs. And because he's going to be there too. He's going to be driving the bus too, right? So we're all going to be there. So in Fort Erie and Hamilton, we're going to actually crash the party. There's going to be a lot more Access Radio DJs showing up to those shows. It's not just going to be me. And from what I understand, you will be in Montreal and Ottawa. So you'll be helping us crash the show then too. You, Jenny, and Esther.
Well, actually, we're going to be in Montreal on December 5th, and we're going to be crashing the show, not the bus, the show.
Okay.
We were talking about speed before. You put that thought in my mind.
Yeah.
Hey, Sauerkraut, this was such an amazing interview. This hour has flown. Thank you so much for being on our show. It was absolutely amazing. It was a lot of fun. And you're going to come back on our show sometime?
Certainly. I'll come back on your show. Usually I'm the one doing the questioning, so maybe I'll have to get you guys on our show. And then you'll be in the hot seat and see how it feels. See that? Actually,
talking about shows and Access Radio, folks, we invite you every Saturday between 12 noon and 3 p.m. to go on to accessradio.ca, noon hour out of the box, which I host with Esther. I'm going to pop you up here. Just smile, okay? With Esther Brzezinski every Saturday, so you don't miss the show. So that's noon to 3. Thank you so much for being on our show, Sauerkraut. And we're going to be signing off. You want to say something to the audience before we go away?
No, I'm just going to do something for you. I was always told that one thing that I didn't do enough of on my live streams was tell people to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, turn it to that bell notification. I think it starts red. You got to turn it silver and turn bell notifications on so that you get an update every time you guys put a new video out.
Hey, that sounds so familiar. I think I said that at the beginning of the show, didn't I?
You did. But I just wanted to repeat it because I always was told I don't say it enough. So now I'm saying it extra time for you. Just reminding people because they forget.
Thank you so much, Sauerkraut. And let's say goodbye to Don Pierce beside you. Don?
Take care, guys. We'll see you on the road.
Thank you. We'll see you on December 5th.
You bet, Rob. We'll be there.
Such a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you too, sir.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Hey, Auf Wiedersehen. Both of you stand by. We're going to be going backstage for our party that we're going to crash.
Sounds good.
Stand by. There you have it, folks. That was our guest tonight, Mr. Sauerkraut, the owner of Access Radio. He's also a podcaster. He's a fire preventionist. And as I said in my own colorful vocabulary, he's also a renovationist. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be here next week with amazing guests. We're going to have Dan Slater, Adam Booth, and Sarah Taylor from the amazing Canadian thriller, The Family. We're going to be signing off with the Rise Up Tour video and closing off the show. And we thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.
Rise of Television 2019.
So 90% of them were named Michelle, and I think that's why I've never met a Michelle that I didn't know.
How does it feel? Oh, it's really cool. This is probably one of the biggest venues we've ever had the opportunity to play.
1, 2, 3.
Somebody better take a good picture.
Woo! Come on!
Kiss
I
me.
got it!
You don't get my love. You don't get my love.
State your name, the name of the band. I know it's the same thing, but
my name's Dana McLeod, and the name of the band is Dana McLeod.
It's a big day for me. You know, I'm singing for God. I'm singing for my brother. I'm singing for me. I'm singing for everybody, and just watch out.
So we like Orestes driving because Orestes never corrects driving. This is what we hate because we want to sleep. We want to relax inside. Sarah.
Are you saying that's not what's been happening? Has that not been happening?
We have something like a boat simulation. You know?
Yeah.
One of the things I think that happens is people, when they get on the tour, they find out things about themselves. Right?
It's like marriage. When you get married, you think that you're marrying somebody and you're going to find out about that person, but it ends up that you find out about you.